Welcome in, builders. We're going to take a first look here at a game in early access called Solar Nations 2. This is a space colony combat game. It kind of has roots in something like maybe Terra Invicta, but also a little bit of maybe Hearts of Iron and a little bit of maybe Victoria 3. Kind of a mismatch there. I believe this is made by a single dev, and as mentioned, it is in early access. You can see this is a relatively early version down here. First, I'm going to show you the suggested start, which is the Twilight of Modernity in 2092. This is what they definitely suggest that you should play. Spoilers, that's not what we're going to play. But I just want to show this off so that you can get a look at kind of the scope of things. So start off, I mean, this is a planet. I'm relatively familiar with this one. It's called Earth. And you've got various nations here, but things are a lot different. There's World War III happened and America broke up. The EU's having problems. Russia's having problems. China split apart. India's a superpower. Various things have happened here. But if we zoom out, we can see that, hey, look, the moon's been colonized. We have different nations here. The Lunar Red Army. We have Thule. We have the Dominion of Luna, etc., etc. Let's zoom out some more here. Oh, look at this. People are settling on Venus and Mars. Let's just look at Mars just for giggles. So there's a small smattering, I would say, of colonies on Mars. We have the Red Planet Alliance, Southern Waste Confederacy, etc., etc. I think you get the idea here, but just to show off, we have made it all the way out to Saturn at this point. I believe there's just a single, this is a single nation that's out here. They have two different colonies, the Satyrian League. There you go. So, as you can see, you can colonize the whole solar system. And if we keep going, there's Planet X. We love Planet X around here. Oh, look at that. We can also colonize nearby stars. So the scale is quite large, all the way down from a regional level. Maybe not zoom into the sun here, Babel. Maybe we go back to Earth. All the way down from the regional level. We could click on this territory, all the way out to multiple worlds. So this is, again, kind of a near future scenario where World War III has happened and there's been some realignment. This is definitely where you should start. Like I said, that's not what I'm going to do. We're going to play in the 2025 start. A year in the past in mythological times. New game. We're going to go in the Age of Information in 2025. We will hit Twilight of Modernity in, I believe, 21 in 2100 is when we'll actually take over ages. And I don't think all the content is fully there, but I think ideally what's going to happen is in each one of those ages, there's going to be various modifiers that are going on. There are various different nations. You can play anything you can click on, I believe. I don't think anything, like we could play as Chile, play as Brazil. Brazil actually might be pretty decent here with their big population, but that's not what we're going to do because I have something wrong with me that I always just want to play the little struggling nations. We're going to try to save Japan. So Japan has a lot of problems going on in 2025. They are a developed nation, so that is good, but they have extremely bad demographics. The childbirth rate is extremely low. The population is thus very aging. They're going to have a big die-off basically as the older generation passes away, and there are not kids replacing them. It also says strong enemies, although in my test games when I was dinking around, I didn't really find that. I did play the tutorials. All I can say about them is they exist. There are things that are labeled tutorial. That's about how much I learned from them. So this is about 4 or 5 hours of me doing a couple restarts and clicking around. And I'm sure I have missed a million and one different things. I've gotten to the point where I don't instantly die. So I'll try to explain what I know from there. So again, don't necessarily take everything to heart. I know some people were complaining about, like, why is this form of government have that bonus? It's early access. Let's just accept that and move on, and we'll just play it for what it is. So we are going to play as Japan. I'm going to go ahead and just click play here. So we are in the Age of Information, and in the Age of Information, we have the poly crisis. The Earth in the 21st century is a contradictory mess of prosperity and poverty. The world is simultaneously experiencing unrivaled technological progress and efficiency, while also being plagued by demographic issues, wealth inequality, mass migration, and civil strife. The polycrisis represents the bundle of issues and their causes, which can only be solved through endurance and sacrifice. So there are global variables, there is progress. When this reaches 100%, this will be over and we will gain stability. I'll go through all the UI stuff after we talk about this. And there's intensity. The more intense it is, the worse the negatives are. And there are a couple things we could do. We could just ignore it and let it very slowly tick by at 2%. I believe this is a yearly 2%. Or we could try to do various things. We could try to enforce tradition. That makes our action to grant privileges more expensive, but we could add 0.5% increase in the progress. We could have a cultural revolution. I tried this avenue. The intensity will kill you. You will just die to the intensity. You'll have so much instability that you will just get a revolt and you will die. So this is literally not usable. At least not for Japan. Maybe if you were playing bigger nations, which is what they do suggest, maybe you could ride that out, but Japan definitely cannot. We could have a natalist policy, population growth plus 20%. That is really good. That is one of the things that would definitely help us. However, it costs us $43,000 a year, which is scaled by your population. Does make that progress bar tick up by an extra percent, but 43,000 is 10,000 more than we currently make. And we're in 700,000 in debt. Again, don't take this as real numbers, just in Solar Nation money, that's what we are using. We also could implement replacement migration. This would give us maybe some population. I don't know if you could even lure them into Japan by game mechanics here, but they would not assimilate, and that's going to cause us all kinds of problems. It also gives us that yearly intensity, which is just game ending. So we are going to enforce tradition, but I don't think we're going to do it yet. So we'll see why here in a second. Let's go over the UI here. We have our flag, and that opens up our government screen. We have our balance sheet. As you can see, we are in debt and we are making a small amount of money, 33K gross. That's, I believe, a yearly. We click on that. We can adjust our various tax rates. We have income tax, resource tax, and the privatization tax. We also could set up a yearly stipend for automation. I'm not to the point where I would ever trust automation to do anything, so I haven't played with that. These are the different economic sectors that we know about right now. I don't know if more get added later. We'll talk about those in some detail in a minute. There's a global market where you can buy and sell things. We are trade policy. Yes, we do want to sell. We will keep our highest deposit. I'll talk about that in a minute. These are various things that we could purchase if we wanted to, but we are very poor. We are very poor, so we really would like to not be importing things from here. Next is the stability screen. This is super duper important to understanding how this game works. So this kind of reminds me of the Victoria 3 angle, this and the resources. So these are all different factions within our nation, and each one has various wants and things that they want to get. They're influenced greatly by the sectors that we build. For example, if we were to build some hydroponics, that's a middle class kind of owned thing, so that would empower them. So they have a power and a loyalty. What we want is we want people who are powerful and loyal in our ruling coalition. In this government type, in this start, we can have two people in our ruling, or two factions in our ruling coalition. Each one also has a bonus, which is scaled by how powerful they are. So right now, the military would have extra morale for military units, and our managers are giving us penalties because they're unhappy. I am going to go ahead and I think make this change here because I just know I'm going to do it. So I'm going to remove managers from, this is like bureaucracy. I'm going to remove them from our ruling coalition, and we are going to add the middle class. Middle class gives us a scaling research speed. Military, like I said, there are unit morale. I don't actually want them in here. However, I don't want to shuffle them out and have people be too sad. Although, okay, so each time I make one of these movements, this costs 5 stability. of our stability, depending on how happy all of our factions are, we have a revolt threshold. Our revolt threshold is 50%. So we need to be really careful that we do not spend below that. We are also currently losing a little bit of stability, so we need to stay a little bit ahead of that. God, I really want to pull the military out though. Let's just make mistakes together, builders. All right, we're gonna put the technocrats and the middle class in charge of Japan. This definitely will not cause a problem. Also, we as the Japanese have a technocracy. This society believes that the technical acumen should be in the governance since they understand the scientific principles of the world. So we have a little bit of project upkeep and we get some extra research. We could come in here. Right now we are a republic that empowers our middle class and our rural laborers. Also gives us +1 ruling faction. I am kind of tempted to switch over to a technocracy. Corporate effect. No, let's leave that alone for now. Okay, I'm gonna come back to this. There's so much going on here. There's so much going on here. So we're gonna put those two people in power. What we gotta watch out for is this crisis threshold. If we get below that, we're gonna get crisis events, which from a small nation point of view are kind of game ending. Like we'll have a civil war, for example, and I'm just not gonna be able to end it. So we need to be really careful that we don't go into those problems. By the way, the benefit to the technocrats is negative effects from debt -9%. So by having this debt penalty, which is gonna start kicking in here once I unpause, we're gonna have a penalty to our stability and to our development modifier. Next up, we have technology. Technology is divided into 3 parts. There's technology itself, there's military technology, and then there are also cultural techs. Now, the cultural techs actually use culture rather than research speed. So it's kind of split beyond the two, but they're also not pure. So if I come in here, for example, yeah, this one costs culture to research, even though it's in our research tree. This is research, this is culture. So you're gonna want some of both. It's not like necessarily Stellaris, where you can kind of do a build where like you focus on one at the beginning. We're gonna need a mixture of both to get going. To that end, I am going to trying to decide which route I want to take. I did about 5 practice games just to put that into perspective. I think we're going to go with the cultural start. And what we're going to start with is we're actually going to get more psychology, which reduces unrest chance or the buildup of unrest. I'm going to grab that first. And then we're going to switch over here. I'll explain why we're getting these things in a hot minute. But for now, I want to grab that. And then I think, am I gonna rush automated industry? I think I am. We'll get robotics and automated industry. And then I'm gonna get genetic engineering. I find this very interesting. This is a starting tech and it's labeled as dangerous. So I'm pretty sure that we can have robot uprisings and like, I don't know if they're mutants or super soldiers, but I'm pretty sure that we can have crisis events that involve those. However, we only have 85 million people and we are gonna lose a lot of them. A 20% population growth, even if I don't touch the buildings that this unlocks, very needed. Very needed. And then we'll come back to that. I may need spaceports or I may be able to get away without taking spaceports quite this early. So we'll come back to all of those in a minute. Military, there are all these different types of military, at least the ones I have unlocked at the beginning, and you could customize them. So here's the infantry, if I want to edit that. Here are the components that are in our current military. Let's say I wanted to add, I don't know, some stealth tech to them. I could do that, and that would change the cost and the parameters of the unit. This is one of the kind of hearts of irony feeling parts where you can come in and customize units. These are the base things that are in the game. So if we just wanted to make a land defense unit, it has 80% infantry and 20% artillery. So it's using these units to make up this template. I'm not going to recruit anything yet because we are too poor to have a military. So we are not going to do that. Population. This is cultures. Right now, we are 100% Japanese. We have decent living standards, and we are neutral for family policy. We would really like to go to natalism. This is different than that one. This is one of my first pieces of feedback. There's a lot of things in this game that are labeled the same thing that aren't the same thing. There's another one called Bread and Circus that comes up at least 2 other places. That do different things. Like they're kind of similar, but they're not the same thing. These really need to be differentiated because to me, this is a natalism policy. And this is also labeled a natalism policy. So that is one place that needs to be cleaned up. Another one, this was a huge one that I was really struggling with. This is the icon for stability. It's a blue scale. This is the icon for culture power. It is a purple scale. My brain interpreted those as just being like, oh, the bar is colored purple. These are actually different values, different stats. One of these two needs to change. That is terrible signaling. I assume some people with color blindness probably can't even tell that those are different. So just food for thought there. We would really like to go to natalism here. And I may even consider that. That pop growth would be really nice. I got to watch my stability though. We may come back to that. Also, being able to take us up to like social welfare would help quite a bit. We're going to have a ton of unrest, and part of that's coming out of here. This event is just absolutely miserable, basically. But for now, we're not going to touch that. We have various culture traits, like pools. This kind of reminds me of like EU5 or 4 or whatever. So we are humans. According to this game, the Japanese are atheist, individualist, and they have the mandate of heaven. Like I said, don't get too stuck on this. When we go up in eras, we'll be able to add more culture traits. I believe right now we could have either 4. Yeah, we can have 4. So we are maxed out, I believe, at the moment. Or we could replace one. And I would like to replace the mandate of heaven. It's just the bonuses it gives don't really sync up with how I want to play Japan. So we're going to try to save up 10 points here and switch that out for something that's going to be really useful. Okay, beyond that, we have diplomacy. From that, I already know I'd love to get diplomacy with China. I'm right-clicking that to open the diplomatic menu. I only have 250 diplomacy points though, and I need 400 to improve relations with them. So I can't do that right now. So instead, I'm going to start improving relations with Russia. We'll see why that's going to be important in a minute. Construction and development. These are various buildings we can build. This is just a macro screen where if you're queuing up tons of things everywhere, you can use this. I found if you click the expansion button, this is like an expansion planner, and you can start searching for various places you want to go. And then this brings open the crisis. This is the same as our thing here, but it also has the edict screen. This is really important. Before I found this screen, I could not actually even play. So, okay. Another thing, as soon as you open the screen, these buttons are active. So if I actually did that, that would actually do what it's trying to do. So just be aware of that. So one of our problems at the beginning as Japan, 6.1 unrest, 1.1, 6.1. Unrest is the killer. If your unrest gets high, everything goes down, and sooner or later you'll spawn a civil war. So we are going to go to bread and circuses, and everybody is going to get bread and circuses. That gives us minus 3.1% yearly unrest. Does make us use some more industrial capacity per population. We'll look at that here in a minute. In fact, actually, we're getting close. All right, here's our prestige. We are a regional power. I think that 10 means I'm in 10th place. I could see that for Japan. This is important because to win the game, you need to have, I believe it's 60% of all prestige in the entire, I think game, but they say solar system. So right now, the EU has 1%, NATO alliance, and it's in your alliance, not necessarily just you. NATO's at 28%. The CSTO, that's I believe the Russian sphere, is 7%. The Indian sphere is 8%. The Belts and Roads is 27%, and the non-aligned is at 29%. So we are not even on the victory chart at this moment, but we'll work on that. Next up, we have economic sectors. This is where the economy of this game is a little tricky to wrap your head around. Don't think about this in the idea of, oh, I'm making 10 keyboards a minute, so in an hour I'll have 600 keyboards. It's not like that. Think about it, it's like capacity or throughput. So the maximum throughput of agriculture that we have, and this only tracks your highest one for an empire bonus, is 3. And we're getting that, it's going to come from here, I believe. Yeah, we're getting that from here because we have a level 1 hydroponics farm. And with the various bonuses that this area has, that ends up being an agriculture sector of 3. Having that sector gives us an empire modifier. Per level, we get 1% pop growth. So we have level 3, so we are getting 3% pop growth. If I build another farm and it's also level 3, that doesn't change our bonus, but we can make money selling off the goods of that sector. That was one of the things I was really struggling to wrap my heads around. And if you remember in here, it says keep highest deposit. If you don't click that, I believe we would be willing to sell this off and we would lose the bonus. That also means that other than the little bit of direct money that hydroponics is making, the $209, we're not selling this off and making more money. So another little tricky thing. And you can see that here when we mouse over this. Also middle mouse button to pin UI elements. We can see here, this is going to be, I think this counts as a resource tax of $349. So we are making like nothing off of that. Next, we have refining. Refining is raw resources and a little bit of refining. For example, for whatever reason, we built a steel refinery in central Japan, even though they don't have any iron. Terrible start. Way to hamstring Japan, because this is really important. Like, we really need refining levels, and the magic number is 5 at the beginning of the game, because we're going to need certain levels of these to be able to build other industries. So like, I'm just going to make up an example here, but like, you couldn't have a car industry unless you have level 5 refining, if that makes sense, because you just don't have enough raw goods to bother developing that industry. Now you can import things. I don't know if you can import other things later or if it's always... Yeah, can I? Okay, yeah, that just started on this one. So you can import other ones if you need it. Manufacturing is making... Yeah, look at this. If we wanted to import 4 manufacturing from Italy, it'd be $6,003. I believe that's is that yearly or monthly? Whatever it is, it's expensive. So, we really need to have some homegrown industries for various things. Next up below that, we have these other capacities. These are, again, don't think of these as like stockpiling a thing. These are like throughputs. So industrial capacity, apparently we are trading for 3 at the moment. I would like to not do that. Here's another part of the UI I really hate. You need to freeze this menu to get down here to interact with it. So I would like to not be buying 3. So I'm going to do that just because we don't have any money. We have no money. So far I have not found anything that benefits from having a positive amount, but you do get penalties for having a negative, and they start small and they scale the longer you have the negative and the deeper that it is. So it's really important that we don't let this get away from us, basically. We have industrial capacity. The main thing I've seen is used for this is sometimes when I'm building, I think, and also used for our population, especially when we start giving them various, like the welfare thing would make us use some industry per population. Next, we have manpower. This is being used to make our military units. We have naval capacity. This is used for building actual navies, but also used if we're using it to trade. And we are using up 51 of it at the moment. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to come in here. I'm going to do times 10 twice. We're actually going to export 100 of our capacity. So essentially we're shipping other people's goods for them, and that we're going to make a tiny amount of money. Right now the price is unknown because the game isn't unpaused yet. It's not going to be much, but hey, we are that poor. Finally, we have the diplomatic capacity, which I talked about when we were looking at diplomacy. I know of at least one more. We will have space, like space capacity, similar to naval capacity once we're in space and doing enough. That's going to be for both our military ships and for bringing supplies back and forth or trade from there. So those are going to be important. Okay, that's a good start. So let's come in here. I am going to come, and we have one leader right now, Sane Takanashi. I believe this is the current prime minister of Japan. And I'm pretty sure this is because it says gamer. She's actually a drummer too. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and actually assign her. This is going to cost me 5 stability just to get started. Once we have somebody assigned, when they get out of power, it will auto put in their successor. But for now, I'm going to do that. The president, the bonuses we gain here are unit morale, population, development equilibrium, resource income, and faction loyalty. And that's going to be based on her faction, which is middle class. So I'm going to pop her in there. That's a pretty good investment right now. Okay, what other ones do I want to do now? I got to keep this at about 60, I would say. So we have 20 that we can spend. And actually a little less because I'm going to do something that's going to cost us. All right, I'm going to tip my hand a little here of how we're going to save Japan. Let's go ahead and go into our colonial policies. Now, which one do I want to start with? So state-owned would allow me to have larger initial population. That is really useful. Corporate control gets us some extra income, also does colonization speed. That I'm not really going to be in a huge race at the beginning. Colonization speed is really nice though. Also, we have an alignment wheel. Right now we are in the liberal and we are moving towards the, I think that's corporate thing. And as you change policies, it's going to move that wheel around, and that's going to affect your factions, and it's also going to affect your diplomacy with other nations. The way we're going to play, we're probably going to end up in corporate, if I had to guess. This is nice for that resource income, although we're not getting any really at the moment. We will in the future. Private settlements gives us survey efficiency. Surveying is going to probably save our lives. It's very expensive. It's 100,000 to do one, but we can discover more natural resources, basically. I would like that a lot. I don't think we're going to do it yet, though. And finally, we have charter colonies, which is a little bit of speed and a little bit of extra pop. I think we're going to start off on state-owned. So we're going to spend 1 stability to do this. Yeah, we're going to have state-owned colonies. And then I'm also going to go over to our policies. Here we have national focus, military service, education spending. Education is really important. This is basically increasing our research over time, but it's a cost per capita. And as you can see, we are spending, which some nations aren't even spending on education. We have a small spend of 4.3K, which is like 10% of our budget. Like, that's not nothing at the moment. Our trade policy is protectionism. We have a little bit of government spending. We have a fiscal policy, which is neutral, and we have no welfare system or espionage funding. Now, welfare would give me some faction loyalty. Okay, we just are too poor. We can't do it. However, up here, integration is when we conquer people. I'm not going to do that anytime soon. So we could do politics, reform costs. No, we're going to do construction. So it's going to make our build cost minus 10% and our speed plus 75. Cost nothing, yes. And then we're locked into that for 10 years. Okay, I think I'm fine with all that. Now, I am going to come in here. I haven't tested this one yet, but I'm pretty sure this natal is not that natal. A little less workforce. Workforce are the people who are going to pay our income tax. However, that pop growth, man. I'm going to do it. All right, and then I better stop so that we have enough left. So that's going to give us a little bit of pop growth here. Hopefully we can start turning this around. If we look at our population, so anyone that doesn't know how to read this, the wider the bar, the more people are of that age bracket. This is not healthy. This is not healthy. You would want, ideally for a growing pop, you would want the top of the scale to be wider than the bottom. Something like that. So if you look here, population growth minus 74%. That is horrible, horrible. So we're gonna try to fix that for them though. So that is on the cultural level. We have made that change. So that's for everybody that is part of the Japanese culture, which for us is everybody. There also are accepted cultures, promoted cultures, non-accepted, and oppressed. So those are, if we had other people, they would slot into those and we can set their conditions and various things for them independently. Okay, next, things that we want to build. We are gonna need a decent chunk of industrial capacity. The bread and circus that I turned on is not kicked in, but when it does, we're gonna need a bunch of industrial capacity. So I'm gonna come here to South Japan, and they actually have an iron deposit. So steel refinery, project efficiency, 300%. This also makes the rural laborers have a little more power. So I'm gonna click this. These are the things I can build currently. One of the main things to think about here is every project you build in a region increases the price of the next project. So anything you build is increasing the price of anything you build in the future. Combine that with the fact that only your highest one counts for an empire bonus, you kind of want to specialize areas in certain things. Now, having a smaller sector somewhere else can make you some money. However, for the purposes of bonuses, we really want that high specialization. So for now, this is our best chance to have a steel refinery. That is going to give us +4 to our refining sector, and that is because of the iron giving us 300% bonus to the refinery. So I'm going to go ahead and start a steel refinery here. In central Japan, we already have a hydroponics farm. So I'm actually going to queue up. Now, we have a deposit here of 5, I'm going to call it fertility, but they call it farmland. So in open air farming, we'll have a 500% bonus. So we're actually going to add open air farming here. And what this is going to do is this is going to add those levels together. So we're starting with 3 and we're going to add 5 more when that finishes. So that's going to make my agricultural bonus go up, which will give us more pop growth. And if we, can I still show that button? Okay, here, let me show it over here. The open air farms do actually technically make a little bit of money. Right now it's saying we would make $489. I'm pretty sure that's yearly. But it costs 5.9K. If we look over here, that costs me more because this area is more built up. So there's definitely like a push and pull between you want to really centralize some things, but you also need to spread out because things get too expensive. All right, I'm going to close that. Actually, no, I'm not, because I got to make sure I actually picked here. Did I actually turn on my, I didn't. We are going to enforce tradition. This is just going to give us that 0.5% bonus speed to try to get through this event. Getting rid of these faction loyalty penalty is pain. Stability loss, pain. Pop growth minus 50%. That's a big chunk of our problem. Big pain. So yeah, we hate all that. Before we enforce tradition though, I guess I could look. Do we want to give anybody a privilege? Do I have anything that I care about? That costs ability. I can't do it. I just can't. Minus 0.5. We're only making plus 0.02. We could give them free contracts, which increases the level of research sectors. Imagine being able to afford research. Antitrust would make the corporates mad, and those are my 2 ruling coalition. Freedom of speech makes education more effective. That's fine. We do need to get a lot of research done. Upward mobility. Okay, leadership getting extra experience and better leaders in general, not bad. This would cost me 22 stability. Never mind. Never mind. We already can't afford it. Okay, in that case, let's go ahead and enforce tradition. The reason I wanted to look at that first is this is going to raise our privilege grant costs by 25%. I already can't afford it, so moot point. All right, we're going to turn that on. Godspeed, get done situation so that we can survive. All right, now you may think, Babel, it has only been 34 minutes. Surely you're ready to... No, I'm not ready to unpause. Now we're going to go to the moon. And we are going to the moon. I know, it's not Mars, so no Gundams or anything, but we're going to make do. All right, and I don't know if this is randomized, but where are you at? There's a certain spot I want to land on that has a bunch of heavy metals right here. Hibernia Secundus. This sector right here. So It has a level 4 iron deposit, which gives us the steel refinery. Now, this is better than the one we have on Japan. So this will give us a new maximum. So this is going to be better than what we have. However, I need the industrial capacity now, hence why I'm building that one right now. There's a big lithium deposit, which will give us extra levels of electronics. You know, Japan, known for their electronic sector, also gives us middle class regional power. Remember, we are using the middle class and the corporates in our ruling. We also have heavy metals. This one, unfortunately, is aristocrats, but gives us manufacturing. Remember when we looked at Italy and they had 4 levels that they would sell, and that was worth 6.3K or something? This is how we're going to get out of our problems. We're going to come up here and we are going to manufacture on the moon. In addition to that, right next door is an even bigger iron deposit, and it has water, so I could get some farming up here. For now, though, this is the most important one. We are banking on, these are the electronics tech and the manufacturing tech are things I can do relatively early and easily. So we are banking on these 2 techs being able to bail us out. That debt is, we're going to skyrocket it. That's all I have to say. We're going to absolutely skyrocket it. Okay, so we are going to not survey because it's $100,000 and I cannot afford that. Remember, we're going to start getting a penalty for being in debt, and it's going to escalate the longer and bigger in debt we are. So we are going to send some colonists here. So that starts, I guess I'm going to call it a situation where we are sending up people. And for us, because we selected the the state-owned colonies, we need to send 15,000 people here. And the reason I wanted to start with that one is the way population growth works is it's generally logarithmic, which means we need to have a decent sized base to get started and get growing. So that's going to really help us jumpstart the people that are living on the moon here. Also, we can build infrastructure. If I don't do it here, then we have to do it manually, which takes time. On this screen, it's instant. I guess we're like launching it there and having it installed. It also jumps our colonization progress by 5%. If you and another nation are both colonizing an area, whoever finishes their bar first gets it. So I'm gonna give myself a head start here. Not that I think anyone's gonna beat me. I can only do 2 levels because our tech only lets us have 2 levels of infrastructure. So I'm gonna plunk that down. We're already at 10% of the way there. And now I think we are finally ready to unpause. I'm gonna slow it down. It starts by default at half speed, and that's already like super fast. So yeah, we're gonna slow it down a little bit more. All right, we're gonna let that go. This is the bar to watch for that. All right, how are we doing? We're not having revolts. We are having some unrest build up. There's just literally nothing I can do about that right now. All right, it wants me to have a little bit of space feast capacity because we're shipping colonists up here. We don't have the tech for that yet. So we're just gonna eat the penalty for now. And then that should go away when we're done with the colonization from my test games. However, I can't ignore this industrial capacity problem. So we are gonna import 330 just to keep that barely in the positive. Because if that's not positive, then we can't run our bread and circuses. And as this builds up, it's going to affect all of our incomes, and it's going to be absolutely crippling. So we just need to survive, basically. Remember, that first tech is also going to lower unrest for us. And South is building that steel refinery. Go. Other things of interesting note here. So the concept of development. I think if you played these type of games before, you'll understand it. Basically, this is just a straight up modifier for all of our tax revenue. And I believe it also can affect your factions that are there. So right now, we are at 1.56 and we're actually losing a little bit. We're going to go down to 1.03 if nothing changes. And partly that's because of our unrest here. If we look at the central, we're also losing a little bit from that too. Yeah, we are just in massive decline right now. Okay, need a little bit more here. I got to be so careful because look how much we've already eaten into our budget. We're already losing 10K. open air farming is a go. We're at 67% of our Jade Rabbit plan landing on the moon here. What is the Japanese version? Suki no Sagi? I'm probably saying that totally wrong. It's the rabbit that pounds mochi on the moon. Okay, and as you can see, time goes pretty quick in this game. It's probably not very visible because all the moon doesn't really change, but there is a little bit of dynamics on the map. You'll see things flying around. You'll see the day-night cycle as people turn on their lights and turn them off during the day. Okay, we have 11 months left on that first factory. Oh, we just got another leader. This is going to be a governor. No, I just tell you. Yeah, governor's in. Oh, did my colony already finish? Let me zoom back out. One thing this game could really use is some more pop-ups on things like that. Saying like, hey, you finished colonizing. All right, so we have our maximum infrastructure already here. I'm actually going to immediately add another steel refinery. The one on the planet is not going to get to level 5, and I need a level 5 to be able to build the consumer goods industry. And this and the electronics factory are going to be what save us. All right, we'll just let that work. Now, the other question is, do I do more colonization? This one would not be bad. This is an even bigger steel industry. I think I do. So we'll send colonists to this one. Like you see, we're racking up debt. I'm not digging my way out yet, unfortunately. Okay, what do we got up here? That's probably warning me that I have debt. Yep. Mounting stability problems. Development equilibrium is going down. Stability gain is going down. Our stability is high, it says, and it wants us to spend some of this. Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. We definitely can't afford privileges or anything because the cost is ridiculously high at the moment. There are other things that we could do. We could change some of these policies, for example. We also have politics. I would like to go to a closed border. Yeah, I'm going to do that. We have enough problems. We do not need to bring in more problems for our tiny little 88,000 people here. All right, so 1.5 cost. Yeah, basically just kills the international migration movement. All right, we'll go ahead and click that on. All right, steel refinery going. I do want to build the infrastructure. Oh, it's going to make me verify that because we're so in debt. Yes, I will spend that. That's going to briefly tank us, but it'll bounce back here. Okay, let's go back up to quote-unquote normal speed, which is 0.5. Okay, they're getting that steel refinery. How are we doing here? All right, so we have built our first steel refinery here. As you can see, we're up to 4. Now, if I didn't have the plan up here, what we could do is build some resource extraction. Refining sector level plus 20%, agricultural sector level plus 20%. This is only 22,000. I think we would need 2 levels to get 4, because 20% would take us to 4.8. Yeah, I think I would need 2 levels of that to get this to 5. I'm just not going to spend the money on it. We also don't have infrastructure. The infrastructure, if we look at it here, it is going to reduce the cost. So like region modifier, project build cost minus 20%. That's because we're at level 2. It's 10% per level. It does give the bureaucracy a little bit of power, gives us a big project build speed, and also helps your units move around faster. But it's that 20% discount on things that we build that I'm counting on here. Okay, we also, because we landed on the moon, we have founded a new culture. So we need to go to the non-accepted cultures, Luna Japanese, and we are going to promote them. Okay, now I don't care about those other ones. So promoted culture right here. And we'd like to get them to accepted at some point. Right now, there's so few people that they're not even registering as a percentage, but that'll change over time. And I just wanted to make sure they're over here. And for them also, we're gonna put them on. Oh, that one would cost me 5 stability. Not right now. There's too few of them for that to even matter. At some point, though, I'm gonna want that. We are just such a small population nation. Yeah, that's fine. As long as we don't max out, that's totally fine. All right, our steel industry is coming in. And we should see level 5 once this ticks in. There it is. So again, because we have that 400% efficiency, plus 400%, that level 1 steel refinery gives us 5 refining. We also are making a decent amount of industrial capacity. However, before I turn off all that stuff we're buying, we need to come in here to edicts, and we're gonna have to bread and circus these guys too. And then we'll see what our new equilibrium is off of that. Look at that, we were already up to 3%. How we doing down on the planet? We are still gaining. I have stemmed the bleeding a little bit, but north and south are still having problems. This tech will help, but it won't fully solve it. Okay, next. All right, we are gonna build. Where you at? Our consumer good industry. So this is gonna make a little bit of money here, but it'll actually make more money based on this. So we're gonna do consumer goods, and we're actually gonna do the electronics factory too. We are just kind of all in on that. And I think, no, let's just start with that. Don't go crazy. I'm playing like I was playing after I had kind of made it through the hump. Okay, new cultural thing can be added. So we can come in here and we can select the individual traits for things that we want. I kind of want to switch Mandate of Heaven out like this early. I think I'm going to hold off on it though. Instead, we are going to level up. Where's my one? This one. So Atheist gives us research speed 5%. Then we could get some industrial capacity. Then we would get middle class faction power base. Then we would get manufacturing sector level +1. And this is going to be our literal bread and butter here. So we're going to beeline for that at the moment. So we'll take skepticism right now. Also, the amount that we're going to get for this, I believe has its stability, but I think it's also your homogeneity of culture. So right now we are pretty good, so we're getting a pretty good income off this. If we have more and more cultures, that's going to slow us down on that. Okay, we did finish building over here. I am going to invest in another steel refinery. I also need to give them bread and circuses. All right, we'll let that click through and then we'll see if we can start. In fact, I think I can already. Let's import less. It's just a weird way to think about it on that screen. So we're buying 240 currently. Yep, and I want to just get that down. We are paying 15.53 each, which is not what I want to be doing. Also, we don't need that space capacity anymore yet. That will become a thing that will be important. Okay, there's our consumer goods. So manufacturing level 11, 1 for the building, 10 for the heavy metals. And as you can see here, this is worth 3.6k of income. Our refining's up to level 5. That's going to go up here. We're also getting the steel refinery down. Back on the planet, we did finish that open air farming, so we are at level 9 for food. And I think... do I want to invest? No, don't. I'm just too poor. I'm just too poor. All right. Where are we at time-wise for this? 3.9 years. I'm going to wait until this policy can be changed. I'm going to change it so that we get the survey strength. I really need to survey this and just pray that we hit something good. But I'm gonna wait for that extra 25%. You can't spam it. You only get to do it once, at least at my tech level. So it's important that we kind of make do there. how we doing? 1.1. Yeah, this is getting less bad, and when we get this first tech, it'll get even better. That's actually going to solve the problem up there, and we're good in the capital currently. So really, you're my main problem in South Japan. Now, we could put some manufacturing here, but it's only +2 levels. Would that be worthwhile? You do say we'll make a little bit of money, but it's 41K, and if we're only making 317, that's really not making that much. I think we could just do so much better on the moon. Okay, new cultural. We're going to be spammed by this at the beginning, just because we are making so many points right now. We're going to go straight from that manufacturing sector level. Manufacturing is also giving us development equilibrium 5% per level. So we're getting 55% development maximum. And we just finished our electronics. So the electronics give us advantage for units, so that's military, but also gives us EMP vulnerability. We also get education efficiency. So we want to be really, really highly educated so that we can blitz through some of these early techs. We did finish that first one here. So yearly unrest minus 0.5%. We gain a little more stability from factions, and we have a little less war exhaustion. Okay, so now we're going to go for robotics, automated industry, and genetic engineering. And then if we don't need spaceports, we'll go back to culture, and we'll get some more culture stuff. All right, I do kind of want to keep expanding some of this, or am I just going to be patient? I think I just need to be patient. Yeah, you see here, development 1.06, and we're moving towards 2.53. That is going to be scrumptious. Remember, that's a tax bonus. We also have our admin efficiency. Again, this is a multiplier on our taxes. So up here on the moon, it's not great, especially over here where the pop's starting to grow. We have 140K. And look at that. A little bit of a reversal on that trend. That's great. How are we doing on mainland? Okay, you can see my policies kicking in there and reversing that pop trend a little bit. Now we're still gonna have some pain time. Look at this. We're up to 92, but it's not gonna stay there. It is not gonna stay there. Okay, doing really nice in South Japan. Okay, we've slowed it down even more, but we haven't ended it. Yeah, a little bit left in those two, so that we're literally gonna sweat until that stops, basically. Okay, now, we got a neighbor. We got a neighbor. So we have the East Asian People's Federation. This is the China-aligned group. Do we have Russians? No Russians yet. Usually I see China and Russia up here pretty lickety split. Now, other places that I absolutely want, this one, because this would give us access to titanium, which are for nanocomposites. We are not close to needing that yet. However, we will need it at some point. This one could give us some more heavy metals. I think we're gonna nab that, build another manufacturer, and hope that we can sell some. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I wanna get a couple of these nice big chunky colonies down before we switch colony law for the extra scanning. Another thing I need up here is I need to find some nuclear fuels. So if we grab that, maybe we can kind of get like here, 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 and there. Yeah, something like that. And these are most of the resources. I don't think there's anything else. Well, I guess there's that blue. What is that? Oh no, that's lithium. We have a lithium source. So yeah, we need the nuclear and we need the titanium, and then those are the resources on the moon that I would like to have access to. And then anything else that we can grab that's just really good, I'm gonna grab. I think I need to stay contiguous. Ooh, and there is our space need. And that's because we're colonizing currently. Okay, I'll tell you what. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and queue in the spaceport. Spaceports are kind of expensive, but then again, we also can make a decent amount of money on them. All right, let's move that. All right, we'll do robotics and automated industry first. For nations that have very low pop, getting robotics is really handy. We can basically kind of use some like robot builders. President has been reassigned. Okay, yep, this is the same person. Nobody changed. All right, now we actually have a little bit of buffer of stability. If I put in a macro manager because of our algorithmic economy, you would give me some extra admin efficiency. And admin efficiency is our taxes, basically. Okay, so Fuma Nakajima has a 15, so we would get a 15% bonus on that. This does cost me what? 1. Okay, totally fine. Now, I also could come in here and recruit leaders. However, recruiting leaders, I don't know if it costs 4. First speaker is going to do what? Give us resource income and a middle class bonus. That is actually pretty good. And that's based on what? Not any of their skills? All right, let's see who we have here. You're really young, Mio Takada, a quick learner. Logical. Okay, your stats, though, are not nearly as good as theirs. Quick learner, intelligence, which also gets them percentage XP, determined, a socialite, and a commerce raider. Strategy skill, which I assume is needed for our generals. I couldn't find, by the way, these tooltips really... This is a character skill. Okay. Could you tell me what it does? That'd be nice. I'm going to assume that that's used for military. Now, they are part of the clergy, whereas they are part of the aristocrats. You know what? Getting an aristocrat here would be really handy. The aristocrats are always super pissed off at me. I think we're going to do that. So we're going to do that, and we're going to put you in. How does that help our aristocrats? Hopefully we'll get that above 16. We really want them to be above 40, and what we really want is above 60. That is where we'd like them to be. I could lower some taxes to try to help with that, but I'm also in a debt spiral. So, yeah. Yeah, about that. Yeah, I'm not even going to touch privatization. That would be just... They're already mad. I don't need to make it worse. Okay, yep. New culture idea. Okay, so we are going to be up to a middle class power faction power base plus 5%. So if we look here, they're currently at 19% power. Let's see if that's a true 5%. So they were at 19. Gotta let time go, I think, a second. It hasn't taken effect yet. Although this did change. So the stronger they get, the more research bonus we'll have. Okay, we've finished the first of the robotics. So this is going to allow us to build an engineering department. That would give us some extra research, but use robots. Can't afford it. A robot assembly line would make robots. Can't afford it. Mass mechanization, a very good one. Project efficiency plus 20% would be really nice. But it uses 100 robots. One of these factories only makes 10. I can't do it. We also unlocked battle droids. That could be pretty interesting. And cybernetic implants. And we can have a robotics law. All right, continue researching. Let's actually go look. What is the robotics law? So they could be private. Corporate and middle class would like that. Maybe state-owned, corporate-owned. Think, okay, this only cost me 2. We're gonna have a lot of things that give bonuses to the middle class. I think we're gonna throw a bone to the technocrats on this one. So we'll make them corporately owned robots. 1.5. Yes. And then that's gonna increase the effects. So I'm not sure, I guess that's gonna affect this. So that is going to give us the negative effects from debts is lowered a little bit. So far, we've managed to incur 50,000 more debt than when we started. Just FYI. And it's going to be more because I didn't build my infrastructure here. Yeah, there we go. Yep, we've managed to incur 100,000 debt. Like I'm really in government, isn't it? Okay, and by the way, there is actually planetary motion happening. We're just not really seeing it because I'm just so zoomed in. How are we doing down in Japan? All right, now there is an argument to be made about... No, don't. I need to do resource extraction here because we'll up our maximum food, but I just can't afford it. I just really can't afford it. Okay, we're down to 0.3, and we're not losing it. Okay, did I turn off... Let me make sure. Are we running bread and circuses in the capital? Yes, we don't need to be. That's what we want to see. We want to get to the point that we can start turning those off. 1.1, yeah, we're still making some up here, unfortunately. Okay, new area, so I need to go assign that. So bread and circuses, get that. Keep people from absolutely freaking out, which we're still actually having a little bit. That makes me very scared. Okay, I might need to do social welfare. Okay, so if we come in here and we go to the Lunar Japanese, and instead of decent conditions, we could run social welfare. There's like nobody up here. So it would give me a little bit of admin efficiency and would lower unrest by 1%. Let's do that. Let's let that take effect for a second. Okay, we're still making plenty of industrial capacity. Also, we want to build... No, I don't need the 5 refining here. I just need the 5 refining up here. So I can immediately build another consumer goods factory on that territory. Okay, next. Where was my... Okay, so this is what I want. And then where was that nuclear? Over here, okay. Or over here. Either one would be fine. Yeah, that doesn't... I hate having this weird C-shaped thing, but on the other hand, it doesn't make a ton of sense to grab that where I'm not going to use it at all. And that would actually be 2 away, wouldn't it? If I do this, we'll connect right away. All right. Maybe, or maybe I just chill for a minute. I can't build that other building yet anyways. Yeah, maybe we just chill for a minute. Can I change my... Yes. All right. You would cost 1 stability. Ooh, we're getting a little shaky, but I think I will. So I want... Private settlements give us the survey efficiency plus 25%. All right. Whenever I decide to do that, we can change whenever I want. I'm very curious to see what this is going to do for our money. I really need to start turning this around where we're making more than 23K. That is definitely not going to be cutting it. A new culture idea. Now we can grab the worldly understanding, manufacturing sector level +1. So currently we are 11. Let's see if that changes. That is not currently changing. I did not expect that. Manufacturing sector level +1. Yeah, I would have expected that to go to 12. Okay. There might be some rounding going on, perhaps? Okay, education efficiency, admin efficiency, and research. I don't have to finish this before we do the replacement. I need to save up 10 to be able to do that. Okay, we also have 11 manufacturing here. Okay, we did see the jump of 2K. Excellent, excellent. Okay, so we're making a little bit more money there. That is what we want to see. Okay, they are not... Where are you going currently? Let's actually go look. You're definitely expanding somewhere. Or not. Or not. Okay. I kind of want to grab this as a defensive grab, but it's also not very helpful. I guess this one gets us to both the fissiles and what I want. So maybe we grab this one first. I guess this one technically touches both also. So which one's more useful? They're basically the same, but this one is bigger. No, let's just hold off. Let's just hold off. I can't build the buildings yet. Just don't do it. Leave it alone, Babel. Leave it alone. Okay, we got a couple more governors and whatnot. Oh, also, just for safety's sake, let's head home for a minute. And in here, I want to pull up a land defense here. That's going to be 10,000 troops, but at least we'll have something on our island in case somebody decides to get spicy. I probably should do the same thing on the moon, but let's do one first. Also, our industrial capacity seems to be fine. Let's try to do, for the mainland Japanese, social welfare. Because you guys are still having... Oh, you're actually going down ever so slightly. Okay, maybe we can get away with not doing that. In that case, what else could we run? Free enterprise would increase my tax base, give me middle class and corporate power, and some extra education. Yep. All right. Free enterprise for the homeland. Okay, and how are we doing up here? So we're currently doing pretty good, actually. Automated factories, let's pause there. Okay, so you don't need bread and circuses anymore. Let's turn that off. Okay, you both still do. I think I need to run... Oh, I'm already running social welfare. Okay, yeah, I am already running social welfare on that. I definitely don't want to spend that. Okay, I need to stop spending. All right, let's leave that alone. And actually, I need to let that bulk out a little bit. All right, we did unlock the automated factories. So the automated factories are really useful right now because, from what I can tell, it's going to add 1 million workforce. Workforce are the people who are actually paying the income tax. So I guess we tax the robots, basically. And if I build these in areas that are not super built up, they're pretty cheap. So a automation factory here would cost 10,000. How much would it cost here? It would only be 12K. Let's go ahead and build one and let's check the profitability. So we look at the income here. Income tax is $8 currently. We look up here, income tax is 22.6K. Let's see what that one building will do for us. Yeah, that is looking really nice. Okay, this is also not a problem. So we're buying 240. Let's just get rid of that. So 100, 200. We'll stop there. We'll try to find a place like that's better to put another steel factory in. You can build regular factories also, but I find them very expensive. So that would be just this. 110 capacity. It increases regional labor workers, but doesn't produce anything else we can really sell. So, okay, 2.7. The admin efficiency might be good, although we're actually doing fine for the most part up here. Okay, they are making an ever so slight amount of unrest. All right, let's not mess around with that. Oh, and they are running. Ooh, yikes. Okay. All right, what's your problem? We are mainly getting unrest from the aristocrats. There's not much I can do about that, unfortunately. Not much I can do about that. I could build... This has water, so we could build a hydroponics bay here. It'd make a tiny amount of money. This would also give us some middle class political power, and the middle class is happy, so that would be kind of nice. Yeah, let's go ahead and drop one of those. That is a region that I'm probably going to build a resource extraction, although I guess that applies to open air, not onto hydroponics. Okay, we're making some here. We're up to 32. Okay, we're getting somewhere. Okay, so income. Okay, we were making $8 and now we're making 770. That is a pretty nice little jump there, as long as the upgrade is not too expensive. So this would be 28K. I don't think we build another one, at least not yet. Do we want one here? 15K. The payback time is not horrible on these. Yeah, let's do it. I think everyone gets one. 10K. Yeah, because even if it's just a little under 1,000, that's a little over 10 years of payback time. But I want some of these down on land, especially in north has like nothing. Yeah, 9.2K, so it's a little expensive to build on Earth, but that's still fine. Central Japan, 12K. Yeah, I think just literally everybody's getting at least one of these, because that means we just added basically 6 million people to our total taxable base. Okay, we just did the spaceports. Now I'm working on genetic engineering. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Then let's pop back over here, and we need a bunch of these social things. Starting up here, this is going to give us habitability and pop growth. Yep. This one's going to give us development equilibrium. All these ones are going to give us stability from our factions and a little bit of resource income. Nice. Extra resource capacity. Yep. Cheaper faction stuff. Yep. Integrations I could care a lot less about. Yeah, I'm gonna hold off on those war related ones. Now the big tech we're waiting for next now is over here, interplanetary technology. Now I need to have 20 tier 2 techs to be able to get this. We have 5, so we obviously have 8 ways to go. Manufacturing sector level +1. Sure. Okay, that's not going to do anything. Infrastructure project limit upgrade, yes. Now the thing is, to do this nuclear fission, I already know that I need something from here, and I can't get that tech until I get this. These are not properly put on the thing. Like, we were able to get this one, even though it looks like it should be a tier 3. It doesn't actually require that for some reason. So, yeah. All right, we'll just work on those. We'll come back to it. All right, we just did a really big spend on all those different factories, but I think that's going to pay off for us in the end. Hopefully we're going to see. So we're at 32K. Let's see what all these factories do for us. I'd like to get to 40, but I don't think we're going to get to 40 with these. If they're, let's say, $600 or $700 each. Oh, there's Russia. And there is China touching me. All right, do I want to defensively grab this so that they don't? I think I do. It's so hard for me not to want to paint the map. It's so hard. All right, we'll send that infrastructure in there. For whatever reason, everyone else seems to also do the contiguous thing. I mean, there's nothing stopping me from just clicking the one I want and sending colonists, but I think that's going to increase our need for the spaceport capacity, which we also just picked up. This might be a place where we'll build one. is cheaper. Remember, every time we build something in a province, everything else is more expensive. So I kind of want some areas that don't really have a lot of use for me to be our big spaceports because they'll keep them cheap. Okay, well, we got to 38,000. That's not nothing. And hey, we're below 700,000. Debt decreasing for the first time. Where's that? Ooh, hey, that's another manufacturing one. I wish, okay, this is such a indie thing at the moment. I highly doubt anyone's actually played, but just in case, if anyone is more knowledgeable than me, feel free to give me any tips, especially things I missed. I think that we are making money off of these extra consumer goods, but I find it very hard to tell because there's no actual breakdown here. I guess we could look here, and this would be resource tax of 4K, because I don't know what else it would be other than the consumer goods. But if I'm not correct on that, I would love to be corrected on it. I would love it if there was a screen that just showed me, because if I go here, this is us. This are people that we could import from, not something I can export to. So yeah, I don't know. I just don't have an explanation. Also, we are losing a little bit of stability. That is really worrisome. That is incredibly worrisome. Because we are not that far from our 50% rebellion threshold. Which, spoilers, we'd prefer not to have. Okay, I'm also seeing a lot of people being spicy up here. Get your bread and circus back on. Okay, now he's only at 0.1. How are we doing back on Earth? Yeah, Earth is chilled out. That's what we like to see. All right, I want to wait. We are going to, I think, go for the switching out mandate to heaven here. Okay, this was pop growth 20%. Okay. How are we doing on that? Our oldest lunar colony. Okay, we had a little bit of a baby boom and then it retracted some, but we're getting there. Yeah, we're reversing it. How are we doing back on the homeland? Better. Yeah, they're all showing basically the same trend. Oh, yes, I'd like to see that going down. All right, new place, who dis? Here's some bread, here's some circus. All right, now this was basically a... Ooh, we got a tech so I can go up to tier 3 infrastructure. This was a defensive grab so that he didn't come down and start nabbing towards what I wanted. I think this is going to be where we're going to build our spaceport. So let's go ahead and let's up that infrastructure first. And I think I'm actually going to have to stop colonizing. Colonizing costs me a little bit of stability. And we just need to chill on that for a hot minute. Yeah, I think we just need to chill on that for a second and let ourselves catch up a little bit. Yeah, looking good, looking good. So ideally, we'll just get this last little glip here, and then I'm gonna not go anymore. We have hungry eyes deeper in the solar system, but there was no way that we could wait. In fact, let's go take a peek. I bet you America is already on Mars. Yep, 100% America on Mars. They've got a single colony with some infrastructure. Now, in one of my playtest games, the one where I finally kind of cracked the code and was able to kind of get past this initial hump, America had gotten like a quarter of the planet, and then they had a giant revolution. So don't think of this like a game that's like, if you miss it, it's gone forever, because there will be opportunities. And I mean, there's a whole military side that we're not really touching much on yet. That's also going to be available there. Diplo capacity's coming back. Do I want to suck up to America? Maybe. Do I want to suck up to the Chinese? Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Let's, if I go back here, we go to Russia. If we stop improving relations with them, that gives me 400 points. With 400, I already could improve. Okay, I'm going to improve with both of them then. And that way, because these are the two neighbors I have on the moon, and I am not ready to militarize the moon yet. It would not be a terrible idea to get some military up here, though. Am I gonna... Oh, look at that. Russia's already colonizing here. The Ruskies. All right, you know what? Okay, I can afford one colony at a time. And yes, I am going to invest. We were making progress. We were making progress. So I need this and this. And then I want that. No, I want that. If I can get those, I will be pretty happy. Man, if everyone could just stop rushing the territory I want, that would be stellar. Like, okay, he is going... I was going to say, why didn't you go for this one? He is going for that one. All right, fair. So he's doing two of them next to himself. 30K? Holy moly. How is he getting that many more than I am? Interesting. Okay, but we better call it there. We're up to way over an hour. Hopefully this was a decent little introduction. Like I said, the game suggests playing the other scenario. The game suggests playing a larger nation, but I'm just stubborn like that. I like playing underdog nations, and I really enjoy like setting up the new colonies everywhere. So this has been the start to saving Japan from its collapse. We are a little bit lower on pop than where we started, but population trends have stabilized and it'll get a little bit worse, but then they'll get better. So we're working on that. And I think with the tech that we have now, we could actually technically, we could go settle on Mars, but that's not actually where my green eyes are seeking. Babel's green eyes are looking over here at the Jovian system, where we have multiple planetoids with some pretty good stuff. We've got Ganymede, a good smattering of various things, thorium, better nuclear fissiles. We also have Europa, which has a lot of water on it, and some Ice 9 could be pretty good. Io, I think Io's pretty chill. I don't think they're like crazy, although decent amount of iron, I suppose. So good mining place here. Callisto, like I said, has those good fissiles. So this is my plan. This is what we actually want to dominate. The moon is just a stepping stone, a very needed one, because staying on Earth was a death sentence. We just don't have the natural resources or population to get ourselves out of that problem. But now up here in the stars, well, stars are the limit, aren't they? But we'll have to see that next time, builders. So if you enjoyed this one, let me know. There's a decent chance that I will make a stream series, not out of this run, but out of this game in the near future. I think this is interesting enough to warrant that. A little rough for sure, and I'm definitely open to anything anyone knows they want to share with me. I checked out what was on YouTube, and there was a couple that were vaguely helpful, but everyone else is basically in the same boat I am. So a lot to learn here, but that's one of the most fun things I have about these kind of big 4X games, just the amount of learning. And this is one of those ones that it's rough on the edges. I totally get that, but there's some surprising amounts of depth here that I'd really like to see. Like space combat seems interesting. How long does it take us to travel between planets? Like all these things seem really interesting to me. So we'll continue exploring that. If you're here for that, don't forget to subscribe if you're not subscribed. I hope I've earned that. Love to have you back. If you want to support the channel, you can always leave a super thanks here or join me live for a super chat. Consider checking out the channel membership that gets you early access to things I'm working on. There's also a Patreon if you just want to leave a donation. All right, builders, I will see you on the moon. Babel out.